Hello and warm welcome to episode number 6 of my It Takes a Village podcast. I am Rebecca. I am so delighted that you're here with me today. And the topic that I wanted to talk to you about today is why I decided to unschool my children. And basically, that also includes why I decided to unschool my life, because they are very much related. As we're unschooling our children, we are also unschooling ourselves in our lives. Um, as so often, I have a little bit of stuff to do. So I'm going to fold some laundry as I'm talking to you. So, for those of you who are not so familiar with the expression unschooling, I actually don't really like the expression unschooling, even though I use it pretty frequently. Mm, I much more prefer calling it life learning or self-directed learning or curiosity-led learning or whatever else. So, because I feel unschooling basically just says what it's not. So, life learning for me means learning as we are walking through life, consciously creating the life that we want to live. And as we're living, we're automatically learning, right? Like everybody is learning, whether we want to or not. We don't need to be in a school building. We don't need to have anybody telling us that we have to learn. Like we learn as we are living. And we've done so ever since we were a baby. Like nobody taught you how to breathe or how to sit or crawl or eat or chew or walk or stand or anything like that. And why would that change? Why would our curiosity change as we are reaching a certain age? In fact, when I really think about it, like many adults get pretty annoyed by kids who ask a lot of questions, who ask, why is this? Why does it happen like this? Can you explain this more? But why? Why? And if we are totally honest, it's not that kids don't want to learn. It's not that kids don't want to understand. It's not that kids are not asking questions. In fact, sometimes I think it is because we find it exhausting and too challenging to dive into the questions that our kids are asking. So we are rolling our eyes and telling them to be quiet. And after some time, they just learn to bite their tongue and to not ask anymore. And that already is probably one of the main reasons and why I wanted to unschool my kids. And I didn't even put it on my list. I put down 10 points that I wanted to talk about, but we'll see and what comes out as I'm talking to you. As always, this my podcast is totally unfiltered, unedited, imperfect, out of my life or into my life. So, um, yeah, that's just how it is. And that's also a part of me unschooling my life and my urge for imperfection, because I feel so many times we're standing in our own way because we believe it needs to be perfect. Yet, who needs perfect? I mean, does perfect even exist? So, this is also how I started this podcast, to just do it, even though I didn't know at all how to do it. And thinking about, or trusting that I will learn as I'm going along. And this is exactly what's happening. And this is what's happening in all our lives and also in the lives of our children. So, trusting that our children will learn, that our children have the capacity to learn, that they have the will to learn, that they have the motivation to learn, and that they actually learn so much better and so much more sustainable when they get to learn out of their intrinsic motivation, like their inner motivation, instead of being forced to learn. So much around school is based on mistrust. We don't trust that you are capable of learning. We don't believe that you will learn anything if you're not forced to be here. And that is not the energy that I want to raise my children in. I want them to know that they are surrounded by adults who trust them, because so many times, like when I'm working with people, when I'm working with adults, that's a big thing, that we don't trust ourselves because we've been told all our childhood that we can't be trusted, that there is an authority figure somewhere out there, the teacher, the parent, the priest, the doctor, whoever knows better. Everybody knows better but me. Everybody knows better but you. But that's not true. Like, you can be trusted, and I can be trusted, and our kids can be trusted. And so I want to raise my children in an environment where they feel that they are trusted and that they are free to learn whatever they feel called to learn and what feels meaningful to them right now. Because that's what's happening a lot, right? That whenever we're doing things that we want to be doing, we are learning, and we have this inner drive, this inner motivation to learn. And the same happens to our children as well. So that is maybe point one, or maybe you point one, two, three. I don't know. This overall energy of control, being forced to be in a place like that, just doesn't resonate with my values in life. I I want my children to be so much in touch with themselves that they feel I want to be here or I don't want to be here, and that they have the freedom to leave if they're in a space where they don't feel welcome, where they don't feel well, where they feel abused, where they feel bullied, where they feel that they can't be themselves or they're not supported or whatever else. And there's so much force, so much violence present in many schools. What I'm saying is not like globally for every single school on this planet, and it's also not no attack towards no teacher. I know that there's super many amazing teachers out there, also not against any parent. I know that, first of all, not everybody knows about the opportunity or the possibility to homeschool or unschool your kids. Not everybody knows right now how to make this possible in your life. And we are all on our individual path. I also know that there's some kids who have it much better at school than they would have it at home, and so on. So I'm not talking globally, I'm talking from my own experience and what I observe as the majority. And from my personal lens and based on my personal values, and I invite you to do the same from your very own perspective. However, for me, I felt eventually when I realized that I had become a, a people pleaser of world class, I realized that I was so shaped through the constant observation and constant judgment that I had experienced throughout all those years at school, right? Children are constantly observed, they're constantly judged. They're too loud, too quiet, too active, too to asking too many questions, asking too few questions, being too wild, being too, I don't know, disengaged, whatever, being too introvert, being too extrovert. That's like it's very hard actually to get it right. And that, like, for me, this has really shaped me to try to please other people. And it's an enormous force because we humans, we long so much to belong. It's like this ancient knowing that when we are left alone, like we're gonna die. And fortunately, today, we are so better off than during many other times. We get to choose who we want to hang out with. We can move to different places, to different countries. Again, not everybody, but many people. And so many times we are stuck through our own limiting beliefs or limited knowledge that we believe I can't, I'm not allowed to, I have to do this or whatever. And if you feel stuck in there and want to have inspiration, I invite you to hang around me for a while. I really love this, what I call mind stretching, to be in places that feel so inspiring, places where I learn things and hear things and explore things that I didn't know existed, that I didn't know were possible, didn't know how they were possible. And that is how all my expansion, or most of my expansion, starts, that I place myself in environments or listen to people or observe people who are doing the thing that I want to be doing, and or that I don't even know that I want to be doing or that they exist, and just feel into it and observe and listen what is possible, what's out there. And that is so powerful. I feel that's very often the first step. And then from there, these are like little seeds. The mind stretching is the little seeds that are planted. And then we often get so encouraged and excited and inspired to create something for us that feels good and true and nourishing and healing to us. So I want to teach my children that they have the freedom to explore, that they are trusted, that they cultivate a neutral or a positive relationship with making mistakes, because that is something that is not so much happening in school. At school, in most schools at least, it is very much focused on, like, there's only one right answer, and if you get it wrong, you're doomed, you get a bad grade, you're punished through the grade, or like ridiculing comments, or whatever social punishment that you're taken out of the group of people, or you have to stay longer at school, or whatever else. So, cultivating a peaceful, even friendly relationship with making mistakes, so that we actually dare to explore things, to try new things, because that's where change comes, right? When we step into the unknown. And when we step into the unknown, we will definitely also do things that don't work out, or don't work out the way we had been thinking or expecting or hoping. And that is fine. That's just part of the journey. And just looking at my note here. Yeah, and trusting our own authority, that we ourselves can be trusted, and my kids, that they know we can be trusted, and that we are grounded in ourselves and feel held and supported. What is also important for me is to experience true togetherness. For me, myself, even though I know that it does take a village, that support is so beneficial and so needed in our lives and takes us to higher heights. I so much carry still today, even though I've done a lot of inner work, I still carry resistance towards receiving help and towards asking for help because I have this fear that if I ask for help or if I receive help, I am either lazy or incapable or weak, or that somebody will judge me to be this. And by doing this, I believe that we are cutting us off our true potential as individuals, but most of all as collective. But it sits so deep in my bones that yes, in school, I was probably told like it's really good to help each other, but only in certain moments when it really matters. For example, in an exam, and if you receive help or give help, like that's really risky and you better don't get caught. And if you get caught, you get punished. So that I believe is one of the big reasons, and of course also the modeling of society that and like for example in Swedish there's a saying that goes ensam är stark, so alone is strong. So when you have sentences like this in your deep memory, then you believe like, okay, if I'm gonna win the gold medal if I do it all by myself. That is like the ultimate thing to reach. But what if that's not the truth at all? What if that is the thing that's holding us back? And we need to get together again to support each other and to pour into each other's cups and to bring each other the knowledge and the energy and the inspiration to explore and create something that has not been here before, and that is our truest, fullest potential, again, as individuals and as a collective. Another topic or another reason that is really important for me is that I believe that health is our foundation for life. If our health is not there, if we are not well, if we are suffering with disease or pain, or also very much our emotional health, if we are emotionally unwell, it's like nothing else really matters. And it really shocks me, scares me, and most of all makes me sad that it's so normal in today's world that so many people are unwell, especially emotionally, but also physically, that even teenagers, young adults, or even kids suffer from burnout or any other like real like so-called chronic diseases or um yeah, health challenges. And I believe that this is not sustainable. That is not helpful to any of us, nor to the collective. So we need to create a change, and the change is by prioritizing our health and and not prioritizing being in a certain building during a certain time span every single day. I believe we got the priorities wrong there. Another part that's another reason for me to unschool my children and myself. So now I have created my own soul business. I'm working at my own terms. I'm not saying it's easy. It is not at all. I'd say entrepreneurship, they say like entrepreneurship and parenting are the things that are. Okay, thank you for your patience. I just needed to pause here. That was a really important report coming in of some adventures that happened. I believe what I was just saying is that entrepreneurship and parenting are so big portals for us to learn and to to grow. And I completely lost. I wanted to say that, but what else did I want to say around this? Um, I actually lost my thread there, but maybe you can find it somewhere. Um, oh yeah, I think I said that entrepreneurship is not easy. There is really a lot to learn and to grow. And again, that's something even though I went to school for 13 years and at a pretty good school, I never learned hardly any of the things that I need in my work. So that's another reason that I believe there are many other ways to learn and to learn the things that actually matter in life, that we actually need in life. Yeah, but health is such a foundation for our lives. And I wonder why they have such low priority at like in our schools. That brings me to the topics that we get to learn at school. I mean, there was just somebody or some people, right, who decided that exactly those topics that are taught at school are the topics that are important. But who says that this is right? I mean, first of all, those topics, they never, like, they don't exist isolated in our lives or in nature, right? There's like no space in life or in nature where biology or one language or maths or whatever exists like isolated. It always comes with something mixed up with something. And we created, or somebody created these subjects to like create boxes. And I get it. That makes maybe sense and is can be helpful. But somebody made this decision that it's those subjects, but it could also be totally different subjects, right? That could be of much more importance. Like it could be gardening, it could be communicating with plants and animals, it could be astrology, it could be health. I mean, like true health. Like, what did I learn at school about health? Maybe it's good to move your body and eat your veggies or something like that. I think that's pretty much it, you know, and yet it's like one of the most important foundations, or maybe the biggest foundation of our lives about money. I don't think, apart from maybe when I was in grad school and I learned basic maths and somebody told me, um, like if you count like one mark, I grew up in Germany. At that time, we still had Deutsche Mark. If you calculate like 1 plus 1 mark, then you get two, or 50 pennies plus 50 pennies is 1 mark. Um, but other than that, like I didn't learn anything about money mindset or taxes or investment or I don't know, saving or anything like that, money management. And that is something that I don't know one single person, apart from maybe babies or kids who are stewarded by older, like by grown-ups who are helping them or who are taking this or doing this for them. But I don't know one single grown-up who doesn't need to deal with money. I don't know one single grown-up who doesn't need to or yeah, tend to their health or who is thriving in life without tending to their health. Um, who doesn't say who said that, I don't know, entrepreneurship is not important or dance or painting or I mean, yes, maybe we'll get a tiny bit of this like arts, so but for some people that's their life and their passion or skiing or surfing or woodworks or I don't know, diving or exploring rocks or whatever. I mean, there's like so much we could dive into. And somebody decided like these topics are really important. These we're gonna scratch just barely on the surface, and these don't matter at all. We won't even touch them at all. And I believe that there's so many things that are really, really important and that I want my children to learn and that I want to have like really present in my life. So, and that feel meaningful and that happen in our lives or relationships, like how to create and maintain relationships. There's so much, like many people talk about socialization when it comes to homeschoolers, but socialization at school is you or in again in most schools, you just somebody chooses that you are gonna get put into this group amongst this group of people. They're all exactly your age, and you're not asked if you want to be with them, if you feel well there, and that's it. And there are no enough resources from adults to support these relationships and the conflicts and challenges that come up. So the kids get to figure it out themselves. And that for me is not socialization. And part of socialization is also to get to say no, to get to say, I don't want to be here. I don't feel well here. I don't feel uplifted in this group of people. Or I want to have more inspiration. I want to be with people who are passionate about, I don't know, um, deep sea fish or singing or um, whatever, birds or cooking, whatever it might be. Or people where simply where you feel safe, where you feel seen, where you feel supported on your journey. So many times, I think kids are just, they are landing there, they're dropped off there, or they're pushed to go there. And then they are in their own world, and maybe their world is one of deep pain in that moment. Maybe they're going through a lot of trouble at home. Maybe their parents are fighting or ill or struggling in whatever way, and that really touches them, the child, so much, and it occupies so much of their focus, or it makes them ill, or whatever it might be, that they can't even be present in this space, or they don't feel accepted, they don't feel loved, they don't feel seen. And that for me is not the socialization I'm looking for. Also different ages. Like I love that me and my family, we get to be with people like from baby to like 100 years old almost in our everyday life. And there is so much inspiration and it's not divided into different age groups. I actually think also there we're cutting ourselves off so much of learning possibilities. I remember one friend of mine, she said to me when she had her first child in her mid-30s, was the first time ever in her life that she held a baby. I mean, that is crazy to me. Now, I've always loved babies. So already when I was a little kid, I loved being not only around my younger siblings, but also taking care of other kids. Like that was one of my really big passions. So I've been a lot around babies and kids already as a kid and as a teenager and as a young adult. But that was that was not natural. That was because I was like I was like looking for these kinds of environments and yeah, where I could be. And um I think that's so beneficial. And just being with people in different age groups, like the kids. I mean, being connected with people because they want to, because they share interests and passions. Maybe they're working on a project together, and it doesn't matter what age they are. Um, or also the same, I feel now, this doesn't really relate to school, but into adult life. I feel like amongst women, for example, we are so divided into like, oh, now like I can't be with the people I used to be friends with because they all got kids and I have none. Like, what is like, why do you feel we can't be connected anymore? Like, that's even more reason why we should be connected. Or I sometimes I see moms like of young children looking for kids in exactly the same age, like, oh no, I can't really be with you because your kid is 3 months old and mine is 9 months old. Or, my kid is 4 and yours is only 2. Something like that. And, or, I have teenagers and you have small kids. Yeah, I totally know that we have absolutely different challenges and needs, and so do our kids in different ages. And also, so I'm not saying that we shouldn't be also with people in our same age and circumstances and so on, but also we benefit so much if we are mingling around. So that before we have kids, we're already with people who do have kids, so we already have an idea what's ahead of us, and we get to support them with the resources that we have available before we have kids, and we have an idea what might be happening, and we have people to reach out to because we know they've already been there. Or the same when kids are moving out of the house or when women are moving into menopause. It's like, oh my goodness, like it's like I'm standing in front of the door of menopause and I have no clue what's going to happen. Like that is, I I feel we have destroyed so much for ourselves because we are boxing ourselves as humans so much that that we're totally missing out on the benefit of mixing and blending and supporting each other with the through our diversity and through the different resources that we have available in different stages of our lives and in different situations that we're in. Okay, there's so much to say. Um, Another thing is that school is like in order to go to school, you need to fit into that frame, into that container. But I really believe that we're so much better off when we are creating a life that actually suits us, that pours into us, that fills our cup, that nourishes us, that is healing to us, that brings us joy. And then from there, like add on what supports that. But so many times we get to be squeezed, or kids get to be squeezed in this environment and this life that actually doesn't serve them. And maybe they have totally different needs than other humans. I mean, it's pretty, I mean, when you think of a normal school, I don't know, like the school that I went to probably had thousand or thousands of kids. And it's very unlikely that all these humans and also the teachers have the same needs. I mean, yes, we have the same emotional needs, like when we look at our physiological blueprint as humans, and that is barely fulfilled there or not fulfilled. Um, Coming back to this health thing and so on. And feeling safe, emotionally safe and so on. But let alone other things like maybe, some people need to move more or they are alert at different times of the day. I know, I remember I used to work with a woman and she, like in a kind of 9 to 5 job, and she said, like, I hate getting up early and I feel up until lunchtime, I'm just not present. It's so difficult for me. And yet she had to be there because that was the job conditions. And then she was a grown up. I mean, she could still look for a different job, but otherwise, I think she really liked the job, so she took it anyways. But a kid doesn't have a choice. Like, they just have to be there at the schedule that some, like a grown up made for them. Or maybe, like for example, one of my children has been sleeping like really restlessly for the past weeks. And I just feel so grateful that both my kids and I get to sleep in the mornings until we feel well rested. That the alarm clock is not ringing at 6 o'clock and we need to rush out of bed and stress and start the day with an empty battery. I mean, who's that serving? Not us, at least. And if it's not serving us, how can we then serve others? I mean, no wonder that so many of us are operating out of empty batteries, and we're conditioned to operate out of empty batteries. So I really believe is that it's time to break this pattern that we have in our societies, and we get to pour into ourselves and prioritize our health, and so that we have plenty to give and that we are our most nourished selves, apart from being having so much more to give. I also believe it's our birthright to live like this and our purpose to be our most beautiful, radiant, nourished, expansive selves. I also believe that it's really so much more sustainable to learn in context. For example, now since I started to run my own business, I have been learning so much in the context of doing this. And I believe if I would have gone to school to do this, like without wanting to do this, without this inner drive to do this, I don't think it would have actually been sticking to me. And the same thing with children. I feel so many times they learn things, or most of the times, kids at school learn things because they are told to learn the thing. For example, I learned French at school. I don't know, 5 or 7 years. I had like intensive French lessons. And do you believe I could say one single sentence in French? I mean, now it's a minute ago or two that I went to school, but still. And then, other languages I learned so much quicker just because I was in this environment where I heard the language, where I used the language, where I wanted to use the language. And that I feel is so powerful. I mean, I can see it in my own life that this is so much more meaningful and sustainable. And when I look at my time at school, that was one of the biggest eye-openers when I reflected on my time at school and I thought I went to school for 13 years. I went to a really good school, or really good schools. I went to multiple schools. And if you ask me to summarize those 13 years that I had at school, I would barely be able to fill 1 hour of what I learned. And that really made me think. I mean, this precious time of my life, my childhood, my youth, that is just so shaping and so important and will never return. I mean, no time in our life will ever return, obviously. Um, but what did I sacrifice this for? So, how could we do this differently? How can we learn in a way that actually feels meaningful and sustainable? That is what I believe in and what I want to live and what I want my children to experience. Also, I believe that especially in this day and age where we have computers, I mean, when I grew up, sorry, great to have a calculator. But today we have computers, everybody has a computer in that pocket, and in the form of a phone. We have AI, we have so many machines. I mean, this world is crowded by machines. So why are we so focused on doing things that can be done also so much by machines or maybe better by machines? Like we like memorizing numbers, like history numbers or something. Um, I mean, unless you really feel you're passionate about it and you understand the context and we want to understand the context and the whole thing. What doesn't what does it help otherwise to have memorized these numbers? Nothing. Like at least not for me. Um, and now I lost my thread a little bit. Uh, oh yeah. So there's all the things that I learned at school. I mean, I can look up now in an instant. And I believe schools haven't changed so much since I went to school. So, and when I hear that when kids are writing essays today or summaries of books or whatever that they were supposed to read, they just ask AI to do it. So, I mean, what is the point of you doing this? What I believe is that what we need more now than ever is to be our unique selves, to be and to do all the things that no machine will ever be able to do. And that, I feel, is what is our task now to do here as humans. And that I don't feel we are doing at school. Another really important point, and I think I will finish off there because I feel I've talked for a long time, is that I believe it's so important that is related to the health topic and very much also to the consent topic and the topic of authority and connection to our bodies, is that we need to be able to tend to our basic needs and do this without permission. So if I need to move, if I feel the urge to drink water, if I need to go to the bathroom, if I feel I really need to rest or to sleep, I don't believe that it's great to a great idea that we install to our children this is, by the way, a towel that I got from my beloved grandmother. Um, it's not so in well good shape anymore, but it's been used for a few decades. And I feel it's very precious to hold it in my hands. I believe it is so important that we get to tend to our most essential needs and that we know in our bones. I don't need to ask anybody for permission to go to the bathroom or to move my body. If my body is telling me to move, to dance, to run, to get some fresh air, to stretch, to eat something that really feels nourishing to me and not something that's on the school cafeteria's menu or whatever. That, I believe, is our absolute one of the biggest needs that we have. And it is really so important to have this anchor deep down in our bones that we matter, that our needs matter, that our bodies matter, that our desires also matter. That is another topic. But I will finish off here and want to tell this to you too. If you feel called to, maybe you want to reflect a little bit on your life. Who are you living your life for? And in your life, do your needs matter? Do you have space to tend to your own most essential needs without permission? And yes, I'm not saying there's, of course, there are times and spaces and where we maybe, like if I'm in the middle of a mentorship call and I feel that I really want to drink a smoothie, I will wait half an hour until this call is finished and to make that smoothie. I'm not suggesting that, every or a surgeon in the middle of the surgery, just because they feel they want to go or want to run a marathon, that they interrupt their surgery. I'm not suggesting that. And I also want to say that our kids, they are so intelligent. They know this. They too learn exactly that there's moments where, we can hold back our basic needs for a little while, but not on a permanent daily basis, having our lives swirling around this. I don't believe that this is healthy and sustainable, not for us as individuals or a society. And where we have these rooms and spaces where this is built in, where we assume that this is how it should be. I know this is not only for schools, this is also for some jobs, for example, that have these rules that you need to ask for permission if you want to go to the bathroom. And somebody can actually say no. Like, I really want us to reflect on this. Is this a society that we want to live in? And if not, then it is up to us to create something different. Like, we're not a victim of society. We are, every single one of us is, a puzzle piece. And we together have created, or maybe the people who came before us have created what's here, but we are the ones feeding into it or not feeding into it. Dr. Bradgard, she once said something really, Dr. Bradgard is an amazing woman that I cherish so much. She is a former dentist and a holistic health specialist, holistic dental health specialist. And she said something like, if we don't like systems, we need to stop feeding them. And I feel that this is so powerful. If there's something we don't like, we can stop feeding it. And if everybody stopped feeding it, it would crumble tomorrow or today, right? So it is up to us. What are we feeding with our consent that we're giving to things? What are we feeding through our behavior? What are we feeding through joining in or not joining in? What are we feeding through giving our money into it or not giving our money into it? There's so many puzzle pieces where we do play a role, every single one of us. And most of all, you play the main role in your own life, and you're a co-creator of your own life. I'm not saying that the circumstances don't matter. I really believe, and I know that some people are in really terrible circumstances, and I'm not like saying that it's your fault or something like that. But I do believe that so many of us have so many rooms in our life, so much space that we haven't explored, where we have an option, where we have a choice, where we get to opt out, where we can make a difference, where we can say no, where we can say yes to something totally different, where we can make a powerful change. And with that, also shift the trajectory of our families, of our bloodlines, of humanity, of our collective. As always, pick from what I'm saying what resonates, leave the rest. Leave comments, send me messages if something resonated, or you want to add something, or if you want to ask something. I am happily welcoming any comments. Like this video and share it and subscribe to the channel if it spoke to you. That also helps me and this whole podcast to come even more alive. It has been such a joy to be with you, and I'm looking so much forward to connecting with you so soon again. Sending much love.